Everyone wants to talk about better closers, better marketing, and better scripts. But what if I told you that I added an extra $100,000 a month to one of my sales teams by fixing one thing, which was show rate? And it had nothing to do with spending more on ads or even hiring better reps. It really was about how we set up appointments and, more importantly, how we frame them. So today I'm going to explain exactly what we changed, why it worked, and how you can copy the same process inside your B2B sales team. So back in January, we were booking a ton of calls and our setters were doing their job, but only half of them were showing. And we get busy prospects saying, oh, something came up. But majority of the time, these people were just completely ghosting, which really just means that they didn't value the call enough to prioritize it. And that's really when everything started to change, when I realized that all these people are just not valuing this call to protect their calendar. So instead of trying to brute force volume, what I did was we slowed everything down and we taught our setters to stop rushing through bookings and really start framing the next call as something that is extremely valuable to the prospect. Step one, we slowed down and we sold the next call, not the offer or the product. So on the appointment setting call, we stopped pitching the product, and the setter's only goal became selling the next conversation as a valuable consultation. And we would explain, hey man, look, I know you're dealing with X, Y, and Z problems. On the next call, this closer is going to go over exactly how we do that. He deals with a lot of companies in your niche with the exact same problems. So this alone reframed the call as something that they gain from, and something that they're going to get a lot of value from, not something that they just had to block off 30 to an hour out of their day. Because the biggest thing is, unless you frame it as something super valuable, these B2B prospects are not going to hop on a call, especially if they're a high up decision maker. These people are extremely busy. So you have to frame something that is valuable enough for them to take their time to hop on these calls. Number two is the pre-call framing. So really what this wasn't just a generic thanks for booking video, and it really wasn't a homework video. Yes, it obviously is required preparation to help them get the most valuable possible, but how I framed it is like, look, I'm going to go ahead and shoot you over this video, and look, what I've learned is this is extremely valuable for you to watch. It's going to go over about 90% of the questions that you have about what we do, client results that we've gotten, and exactly how we can help you solve X, Y, and Z problem. Can you watch this for me? Instead of you framing it as, hey, you got to watch this video or else we can't do this call, it's, hey, this is the value you're going to get with it, and make it very personalized. Because when you start to talk to a prospect in a personalized manner, saying, hey, I know you mentioned you're dealing with this problem. This video is going to show you exactly how we deal with this problem in our business. And then on the demo, this closer is going to take a step into how we're actually going to do it for you in specifics. And then you're going to talk more and more about it. So that's really how to frame the pre-call video. So that's going to be number two. Step number three was very, very simple. And we stopped assuming people would actually show up. And after booking the call, the setter would have to confirm twice. Number one, that they're good for that time. And then number two, if they could go ahead and add it to their calendar. Because that's going to be the biggest thing. And most importantly, they got to add it to their calendar when they're on the call. Because the biggest thing is, this stuff sounds extremely small, but when you have guys that have very, very big schedules and they're able to actually see on their Google Calendar, demo with John, this is going to be what, ultimately gets people to show up. So you really need people to manually accept it so that they can see ahead of time that they have this call scheduled. And it sounds like a small thing, but immediately once prospects started doing this, I'd say it added another 10% to our show rate. And step four was more of like a human touch point. Obviously, we have a lot of automations built in, but we started to layer on human touch points to make it a lot more personal so these people aren't forgetting us. So after the appointment was set, typically our setters would go ahead and they would create a quick personalized video, and then they would create a group chat with both the prospect and the closer. So they would say, "Hey Mike, great talking to you. I just put you in a chat with John. Like I said, he's an absolute expert at working with roofing companies like you, solving X, Y, and Z problem. He will see you at Wednesday at 6 p.m." And they put that in the chat. And then the close say, "Hey man, nice to meet you. This is John." And then what they're going to do is the conversation continues in the chat. Biggest problem I see with setters is they just book a call and they just assume the closer is going to see them on the next call. But you got to continue conversations. So a lot of times, both setters and closers would continue conversations in that chat like they were just their friend, sending them a quick check-in meme or, "Hey man, looking forward to talk to you." A lot of times after the setter would send in that video, the closer would say, "Hey man, I see you're in Kansas City. I'm actually in Kansas City too. Cool. I'll see you next week. Can you tell me a little bit more about your problems?" Or, "Hey man, Mike said that, you're dealing with this problem. What have you tried in the past?" Yes, the prospect is obviously going to talk about this stuff on the closer call, but when you get the prospect involved before the call and they're shooting over text, the show rate is going to absolutely skyrocket. And with this, we're not being spammy. We were simply just being human. And then these people can also put a face to the name. It makes it more personal. And ultimately, that's what gets people to show up on these sales calls. The fifth change that we made was we stopped confirming calls the morning of, and we started doing it the night before. So instead of us, reaching out an hour before or 30 minutes before, typically what would happen is closers the night before are going to take a look at their calendar. They're going to see, I got a call with John at 10 a.m., with Paul at 12 p.m., and with Ron at 2 p.m. They're going to give all those guys a call at obviously a reasonable time, maybe 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Say, "Hey man, just wanted to confirm you're still good to go for that call tomorrow at 10 a.m. What this does is it just gives them more time, because maybe if they do have something pop up on their calendar, they have time to reschedule. And ultimately, this is going to improve show rate dramatically. And this little message really just locked in your commitment. It removed any excuses and give them time to reschedule properly if needed. So the result was very simple. Over about 45 days, I saw the show rate jump from 30% to 70%. And within those 45 days, we added an extra $100,000 in new revenue that month with the same leads, same ads, the same closer. The only change was really how we reframed the call and the communication and the touch points from setting the call to closing. And the moral of the story is simple. You don't need more leads, you need more commitment. Show rate isn't a marketing problem, it's a framing problem. And when setters slow down, they sell the next step and humanize the handoff. You turn ghosted calls into closing calls. So if you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe. This is exactly what I do for all the companies inside my portfolio and the ones that I consult. So yeah, I will see you on the next video.